Hello again, my name is Juliet Nicholson and I'm going to be going over Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. So today, for this video, I'm going to be discussing the medium level readers and the activity of the plot plan. So to go in depth on the plot plan, I know I touched on it on my introduction video, but to go in depth of the plot plan, students will be filling this out. I found this on Pinterest. I found this on Teachers Pay Teachers. Teachers Pay Teachers is actually a really good site to use. It has a lot of resources that we can use for different instructions and resources. But no, this plot plan, so students will be able to find foreshadowing, flashbacks, any other kind of literary device right here. They'll put it right here. They'll go over the exposition, they'll go over the place, the time, so the setting, the main characters that are introduced in this section, and let's see, secondary, so supporting characters, the mood of the story, the point of view. They'll go over those kind of things in the exposition. For the rising action, character roles, they'll again do the main characters or the protagonist or the antagonist, and then they'll go over the conflict that's emerging and the mood. For the climax, students will find evidence from the text that'll help them show that it's the real shebang, the climax. And then also right here for the resolution, students will be for the rising action, or for the the falling action up here. Students will be just describing the conflict action, what's going on, some solutions that are coming into sight, what might happen, so on and so forth. And then last thing is, as we're reaching the resolution, students will describe the final outcome, the story's meaning, if it has one, which there are, the author's purpose of the whole book. And then down here, I want students to write some textual evidence describing what happened. So they'll write a short paragraph down here describing what happened, and they'll use some evidence from the text to help them with writing that paragraph. So for this, to tap onto this, for Bloom's taxonomy, they're gonna locate the parts of the plot. They're also going to describe it from the text. Then they're going to create their own little summary and use parts of the text to help them in that creation. Now, to go over our rubric is based off of the parts of the plot, as well as any character roles that were mentioned in here. So like who were or was the main character or characters, and who were the supporting characters. And then another thing is the setting. Students will identify the setting in the exposition. And lastly, students will be graded on spelling and grammar, just like the other academic activity that I used for the first learning level, the lower level learning reading. So, but this rubric is scored to 9 to 12 points for the highest, for the best work. For the second best work is 4 to 8 points. For not so good or no work hardly at all is 0 to 3 points. And then these students will be given 3 points for their summary. So exposition, the exposition is clearly defined. For resolution or rising action, the rising action is clearly defined. Climax, falling action, resolution, all the same thing. They're clearly defined. For character roles, characters are stated appropriately and they are described. For setting, the setting is described with actual evidence from the text. And then it just goes on, characters are not clearly defined, character relationships or roles are not clearly defined, and setting is not mentioned, or is mentioned but without evidence from the text. For our last column, they exposit all these parts of the plot are not accurate, have no supporting evidence. For the character roles are never mentioned or are left out. The setting is rarely or never mentioned, so it's not mentioned at all. I think that this one is good. This one helps the students learn about the plot, about the characters' roles with one another, and it kind of brings them together. So to touch on the standard on this, students will be using textual evidence to cite parts of the plot and character roles. They'll also be using part of the evidence to put into their summary of the book. And last thing is that I think that this will help the medium level readers the best with understanding what's actually happening and the character roles altogether. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed that presentation. We'll move on to our higher level readers.